Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to No BS TED. This is Ryan of No Border Sports, the No BS part. I'm Ted of TED Talks Ball. And together, we are No BS TED. We come to you live every Tuesday, 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern. Ryan, how are you doing on this fine Victory Tuesday?
Feeling freaking amazing, bro. Woo! Woo! I was live streaming that game, and I know there was people in the chat who were saying it was all over during halftime, and I had to tell everybody pump them brakes, because we got things we need to handle, but like it was something we could accomplish. We weren't down by too much, and somehow they did it.
Yeah, pretty incredible. I was having some doubts for sure because there was no evidence that we could turn it around, but I definitely was talking my neighbor off the ledge via text. I was up at a watch party further up the peninsula, closer to the city. And my neighbor from down here near Palo Alto was saying, "Oh man, I don't think we can do it." Or, the Lions they're rolling. I was like, well, we just need to score here before the half, come out in the second half and score on that first drive, and I'll be fine. Now, of course, Moody missed the field goal right before the half, and we only got 3 points on that first drive of the second half. And then she was like, and I'm just like, look, all we got to do is start playing defense and start scoring. We can still do this, and we did. But I mean, I was having my doubts, just especially because we had never done anything like that under Kyle. Of course, we had done it something somewhat similar with Harbaugh when we were in Atlanta for the NFC Championship game. We got down 17-0 to the Falcons, Matt Ryan's Falcons. And that was, of course, before Shanny got there in 2015 and 2016. But that was a lot earlier in the game. It was right off the bat. We were down 17, not down 17 at the half. So this is the largest comeback, latest in the game that it's ever happened. So it's a record for Brock, for Kyle, for our whole team, for our defense, our offense, everybody. It's pretty awesome.
I think what really led to that, other than the awesome play by the players, was the fact that we always make halftime corrections, right? All teams do. Let's just say that all teams make halftime corrections if they can. I don't think we let them be able to make halftime corrections. I think Kyle came out, the script he had wasn't working so well, and what he did was he just kept going along with those plays, and they were pretty much stonewalling them. And what that did was when they went into halftime, all the coaches could tell them is keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great, right? Other coaches might have tried to switch up the game plan early in the second or halfway through or on that last drive or something like that to try and, put something together. And I think Kyle just kind of chilled on his haunches and said, I'm going to wait until the second half to make my corrections. And it just makes it so they can't plan for anything until the game is already started up again. And it's harder to game plan and figure out what people are doing while the game is going. So I think that's kind of one of the things that really helped things is he just kind of limped into the half and then he switched it all up. And once the new scheme kind of took effect and we saw how they were attacking it, he was able to elaborate, I believe, a little bit more on the game plan and really got into his bag as far as knowing exactly what to call. And we were able to overcome that 17-point deficit.
So, in other words, being stubborn paid off.
Yeah,
stubborn until the end of the half, and then make the changes at halftime.
But I think he does that.
Not tip your hand before the half.
I think he does that all the time.
Yeah, no, he does. He does.
Yeah, unless you're hemorrhaging a lot, you know what I mean, and really have to do something. Like the defense can make the little corrections all they need to all game long. You know what I mean? In fact, that's how it should be done. But like the offense, you're kind of giving the other defense nothing to go off of when you're stagnant like that for 2 quarters and then you go into halftime and you switch it up. They have no idea what you're switching it up to. They're going to have to figure that out on the fly. They don't have any time to kind of go over some tape. Oh, this is what's going on. Get some minds together. Yep, this is how we're going to do things. They've changed things up. This is our attack now. They don't have that chance. All they can say is you're doing a great job. Keep doing what you're doing. And that's not going to work because that's what we're expecting you to do.
And we also kind of lulled them into a false sense of security to where they thought that they could. Sorry, let me mute you there. I was just getting your stream up here on my YouTube. Yeah, we lulled them in a little bit of a false sense of security. They are getting all these long runs and all these long third down completions, and I think it kind of caused them to think that they could throw the ball more than they should have in the second half due to those completions. Because it was crazy when the 4th and 2 happened. I turned to my buddy and I was like, you know what's wild is that I trust us more right now on 4th and 2 than I did on 3rd and 14 or whatever that third and long was. They had just converted against us. And sure enough, we stopped them. Huge turning point of the game. No doubt about it. Real quick, let's call out. We got some folks here in the audience. Let's say hi to everybody. We've got Ash Soden in the house. He may not actually be here. That was from midnight plus 8 minutes. So that would be 8 a.m., 8:08 this morning GMT in Great Britain, where Ash is from. He's from Nottingham. And he came on with me last week as a Lions representative. He's part of Roar of the Lions UK, so ROTL UK. And anyway, he said, respect to you guys. You capitalized on your mistake. You can tell he's British because he says capitalized with an S. Capitalized on our mistakes, and we couldn't get out of our rut until it was too late. Go beat KC for us. That's good, man. Kind of like what Goff said to Purdy at the end of the game, too. So, thanks, Ash. Appreciate it.
I didn't hear what Goff said to Purdy.
Or if you watch back, we appreciate you being a good sport. You were a great guest last week. And Lions are a really good team, you know, clearly. They had us on the ropes, no doubt about it. And, you know.
I feel they'll be back there soon.
Yeah, I think so, too.
They'll be back there soon.
They kept Dan Campbell. They kept, more importantly, I think, Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator, and they kept their defensive coordinator, too. I'm not as familiar with that gentleman's name. Real quick, got Don Dodson in the house. Say hello, Ryan and Ted. Got Jimmy.
What up, Don?
Jimmy Perez in the house. Saying hey, Ted and Ryan. What's up, Jimmy?
Jimmy.
The one and only Shardal Gupta. Saying hey, Ted and Ryan. What's up, Shardal? Got James Durnall in the house, also from the UK. He says,
what up, James?
Sexy bunch of spud-faced cabbage lickers. That's a term of endearment, apparently. Or if it's not, whatever, we're used to. It's kind of like Tommy Huxley saying nasty stuff to us when he comes, and we know he means it in a nice way. Kenny 49er Culp in the house saying, hey, 49er fans. And I'll get to James Durnall's second one here in a second. Real quick, just want to say, you know, we're streaming to both channels, TED Talks Ball and No Border Sports. So if you're on my channel, make sure you get over to Ryan's channel, give him a like and subscribe. Same thing. If you're on Ryan's channel, come on over to me, like and subscribe if you don't mind. And also, like I was doing earlier in the show, if you're watching on a browser, open up 2 tabs. You know, just make sure you mute one so it doesn't get too confusing. But that helps us to get more watch hours, and that's really helpful for us. The subscribers are great too, especially like for both of us, we're below 1,000. Hitting that 1,000 is a big threshold, but after that, it's all about the view hours. So let's see here. Got James Renall saying, I was so heated when Moody missed the field goal. I need to cool it on the whiskey. Yeah, I was none too happy. It was like, geez, here we are. We're coming from behind. You kind of figure you're going to need a field goal at some point to win it. And you know, it's like, ooh, can we even count on Moody at this point?
But to be fair, James, you were wearing the unlucky shirt that you wore during the Ravens game and all that. And he took the shirt off and we started winning. And he burnt that shirt later that night
Good
while the
man.
stream was live.
Good man.
So that shirt is gone.
Exercise the demons, as they say.
Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome, James. Good work.
See, yeah, that
know it
shirt is
all.
gone.
Now we know. Now we know what it was. I took off my visor. It was a different visor I was wearing. I won't say which one. Maybe I should burn that too. But
we were
it definitely wasn't this one.
And I was like, not wearing my Niners hat or my Niners necklace. I was like, I'm not wearing my Niners hat or my Niners necklace because the jersey is the only thing I've found that is the lucky part of the ensemble this season. So my No Border Sports hat, my Justin Smith jersey, and that's all we be rocking.
There you go. He says, yeah, that shirt is gone. By the way, I don't know if you've seen this visor yet. You saw it last week when we streamed?
Oh, I didn't notice it last week, but I'm guessing if you were wearing it last week.
The Brock 39ers. And I'd ordered it before the Packers game, and then after the Packers game, I was like, and I'm like, yeah, I'm wearing it anyway. Whatever. Not that he was terrible or anything in the Packers game, but
did you see what that Juszczyk's wife got her? She's now an official or not sponsor, but an official brand of the NFL, or not official brand, but she's got her
license,
NFL license.
Yeah,
she can now. Yeah,
NFL
licensable apparel now.
I quote tweeted one of the tweets about it. I quote tweeted and said, "Well deserved." She's doing great stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I like how out of the box she is with it.
Yeah, and did you see the cuffs on the one she wore to the game?
No,
it was like a long sleeve, like it was like a rain jacket, but it was like down, so it was like puffy, long rain jacket. But the cuffs, when she rolled them up inside out to like roll towards her elbow, it said like going to the Super Bowl or something like that, which is pretty cool. So she had, obviously planned ahead for us beating the Lions, and that was pretty cool. I saw
Did you see CMC and his girlfriend chest bumping after the game? I thought that was adorable. She was looking all cute in her 49ers gear. You could tell she planned it out and, had it was looking perfect. And then they were sitting there chest bumping afterwards. I thought that was cute as hell.
Olivia Culpo, her name is.
Yeah.
I did not see that. I was going to start going back through my bookmarks to see if I could find the one of, I don't know. I sure did do a lot of bookmarks today though, so it might take me a while to find the one of Juszczyk's wife there.
So I made a meme the other day about CJ GJ being the cowardly lion, morphing into the cowardly lion. Someone bookmarked that one.
Nice.
Somebody bookmarked that. I don't know if that's a way to save a meme if you need to, or if there's somebody's going to try and come back at me on that. Like we'll talk about that later. Well,
no, I mean, what I do is like I bookmark them if like I'm thinking I may want to use that meme, like save it later for something, and I just haven't thought of like where I want to save it or whatever. I don't know.
Is that how you do it?
Sometimes, yeah. I definitely.
That's the only other thing I could
like with this background that you see here that I've got going here. I bookmarked it and then I saved it to my hard drive, and then I put it in Canva and shaped it to a YouTube banner, or YouTube size screen, and that's where it came from. I stole it from somebody off Twitter X. I thought it was pretty with the gold and the red and gold and the blue coloring in the sky. I thought it was pretty amazing. Can't really see it all with our ugly mugs in the way, but take my word for it, it's stunning. So
Did you
yeah,
see my backdrop that I made? My 49ers studio with my jerseys hanging up?
yes, very nice. Or wait,
Yeah,
not
I got
not what
Laura
you
cat.
not what you got going right now, obviously.
No, I'm talking about like when I'm streaming games and whatnot. I got a nice 49er
Oh, nice.
studio essentially that I stream in. And then I've got Laura Cat and Corey's jerseys hanging from the top and their
Oh,
pictures on my desk.
well, rest in peace,
Yeah.
Corey and Laura Cat. Obviously.
Oh,
that's a nice
quest
tribute.
for Corey and Laura.
Yeah.
We are one game away from finalizing the quest for Corey and Laura. We need everybody to kind of put some energy into that. You know what I mean? Put some thoughts and some prayers, whatever you do. Make sure we get this one for Laura and Corey.
Absolutely. I was just kind of scrolling through some of the bookmarks, but I'll take a little break. I was gonna read some more of the comments here. James says the TED Collective has made him a stan. I'm not quite a stan yet, but you know, yeah. I mean, I'm definitely a Purdy fan, a Brock Purdy fan for sure. I still haven't said the E word, elite. I've been holding off on that. But I'm getting closer all the time. He's doing great things. Absolutely.
He's the best in the game at making those layered throws. I would say right now he's probably the best in the game making those layered throws. And for our system, that is the nastiest thing we could pair. You know what I mean? Is those layered throws because it works in with our play action. So I mean, I'm totally sold the fuck out on Brock. You know what I mean? There is no ifs, ands, or buts there. I'm totally sold out on him. Is he elite? Yeah, he's elite as shit. On our team, he's elite as shit. Is he elite on every team around the league? I don't know. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? On our team, he is the only guy who can run this offense correctly. And we've seen how many quarterbacks come in here and try that.
Yeah.
It doesn't. He's making plays with his feet. You don't even have to take that into account when you look at what he can do with this offense. He makes those layered throws and he throws with anticipation. And that's exactly what we need in this offense.
No doubt.
To me, that I'm sold out.
I mean, speaking of that, like, did you see that meme going around about percentage of yards of what Purdy's accounted for entering the Super Bowl
y'all.
compared to what
No.
Jimmy G accounted for going into the Super Bowl in 2019?
But I bet you it's like half. Everything's like halved.
almost triple. Jimmy G was 29% of our offense going into the 2019 Super Bowl. Well, it was in 2020, but it's the 2019 season Super Bowl.
Was it just Purdy, the playoffs?
Yeah, it's the playoffs.
Just the playoffs.
The two playoff games, right? There's two.
Okay.
It was the Vikings.
That makes a little bit more. That's
it was the Vikings and the Packers, and then obviously we got the Packers and the Lions, and so Jimmy G was 29% going into Super Bowl 54. Brock Purdy is 74% of our offense going into. So anybody wants to tell you that, Jimmy G could have done it with this same group of weapons, you can tell him to stuff it. I had trouble with that last year. Even when I said they were more similar than people want to think, I always said Purdy was better. But Purdy's improved a lot this year.
How many touchdowns did Brock have this year? Or regular season?
I forget.
Because in 2029, I believe Jimmy G was like 24
I think he was like 32
touchdowns and 14 and 12 interceptions.
31 or 32 touchdowns. He could have been more, but he didn't play week 18 against the Rams. I know he was 31. Yeah.
His production his and we had CMC this year. CMC is like knocking back like almost 2 touchdowns a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's almost averaging 2, like on a regular game, he gets like 2 touchdowns a game. We got some more people in the chat.
Yeah, we got Jason,
say hi to
Captain Niner Massey saying Talofa Faithful. That's Samoan for hello Faithful. Welcome, Jason. Got Don Dodson saying hi to Jason. Just saying hello. James and
You
all
also
saying
got
it's
a
been
new
good
member.
long 2 weeks. What the hell are we going to burn our time with? I'll probably start watching some Warriors games now. It's about that time of year for me to start checking out the NBA. Real quick, we got Shardal
I think I'm
Gupta,
going to go through every single.
a new member of TED Talks Ball. Thank you, Shardal. Appreciate the contribution.
Way to support.
It means a lot. Outstanding.
I'm probably going to watch every Chiefs game this year.
There you go. Yeah, go back and rewatch. That's probably smart. Do a little scouting.
Yep.
There you go. Yep. Terradome says, I am too. I think he means a Brock stand.
He sold out on Brock all the way.
Yeah.
No,
well, I mean, he has
because I said I'm sold all the way out on Brock. That's when
Terradome
it came out.
and I had a lot of beef in the offseason.
Oh, yeah.
And for the most part, he was right and I was wrong. One thing I will say with a lot of stuff I said and tweeted during the offseason was I still kind of feel like it was somewhat true then. It just Brock made it very untrue during the season. He improved his deep ball throwing. He also had a lot of long runs, as we saw in the Lions game, that he just didn't have in 2022. That's why I was saying he was quick and not fast. I still think that, but it's starting to become less of an issue. He tore him up for sure against the Lions. A lot of people are likening it to old Steve Young, which is some pretty high praise, obviously, the way he used to run and throw. Pretty incredible. Shardall, officially a member. Outstanding. You sure are. Elite Brock Purdy. Terradome has no problem saying it. Like I said, I'm real close. I just and I've said that he's had elite play for stretches this season. I just wasn't ready to say that he himself is elite. I need to see, just a little less volatility and a little more longer stretches of that elite type play. But I have very little doubts that I'll be saying it before too long. Maybe in 2 weeks, right? If he beats Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, hard to say he's not elite. I mean, I guess it depends on how it happens, but regardless, it'll be tough to stick to that if we win the Super Bowl. And I think, well, I don't know. We'll get to that in a little bit. Or, well, I don't know. How are you feeling about the Super Bowl, Ryan? Like, how you feel about the Chiefs? I mean, do you want to wait till you've looked through all their film and have a better, feeling about it?
Well, I can tell you what I feel now. I could tell you what I feel now, and then by next week I'll have a better idea of what, and we can kind of go over what I said,
all right,
and see if I still believe it. I don't think the team is as talented as it was when we played them last. I think our team is more dominant than it was then. Our team obviously has showed us that it can come back from behind in some of the most stressful situations, aka a playoff game. Okay. I think it's tougher to come back under those situations than any other one because the things can creep into your head more. And our team is so filled with vets and they're so kind of confident in each other. They never got the thought in their head that this thing was over. They knew that they had a lot of football left to play and they knew who the hell they were. You know what I mean? So the Chiefs have been complaining about not getting penalties when they get a shit ton of penalties. You know what I mean? To me, that just screams our year isn't going correctly. And the 49ers, I think I just saw somebody earlier in the chat here. They said the Chiefs have had 3 games over 30 points and the 49ers have 11.
I guess I that sounded right. It was James Renal. 3 games.
Right.
Niners have 11.
30 plus. Yeah.
That's
so
because
that
the Niners have the number one
too,
offense DVOA and the Chiefs is like 8th DVOA, which is crazy.
And I don't know, because really what the Super Bowl comes down to is who can get in the deep water and still survive, right? Because either that or both teams in the deep water, and it's who can tread water the longest, right? I don't know if Kansas City is that team. Last game, look at what happened last game. They put up all their points in the first half. They couldn't do anything except for try and hold on to a league as it got chipped away little by little the whole time. Didn't work for the Lions last week, and I think they've got a more talented overall squad as far as personnel. I don't think they're as well. I don't think they're as well coached. I think Andy Reid and what he brings to the table is a lot, but you know what I mean. So, and I'm not saying Dan Campbell can't be there, but I just think when it comes down to it, the scheme's going to have to be really good to outmatch our talent with our scheme. I think we got this.
Don's heading out. Have a good night, Don.
Anything can happen, but
I'm sorry. I thought you were
take it easy, Don.
Yeah, it is supposed to rain. It's funny though.
Appreciate you.
Forecast last week before our game was no rain Wednesday to Wednesday. And now it's still supposed to rain tomorrow, but now it's supposed to rain Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday too. That all added in. That's why you got to keep your eye on the weather reports. More than a week or 4 or 5 days in advance. The last couple of days, things can change. But sorry, I cut you off, Ryan. Were you finished?
Yeah, we're good.
Cool. I'll say hi real quick to a couple of new additions. 49ers Jive in the house. He's saying he's been
what up, 49ers Jive?
Simming the game over and over on Madden 24. Well, tell us what the results are, man. Don't hold back. Yeah.
Let me know what you're getting.
And T-Dome was hitting us with the Purdy's regular season stats.
69.4.
Sorry.
Yeah.
4280, 31, 11, 113.
Yeah.
PSR.
He had 7 more touchdowns and 1 less interception than Jimmy Garoppolo. And if you take the Baltimore game out of it, he's got 7 interceptions on this season.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't take the whole Baltimore game.
You know what I'm saying?
One of them he definitely deserved.
No, I'd probably one of them he definitely deserved. Yes.
But maybe of the next 3, I would maybe only give him 1. So maybe I'd say 9 interceptions is sort of more fair for what he had this year. I mean, if we're doing that, I don't know if you guys like my math or not, but I just felt like
we'll leave it. I just thought that was a good caveat, a good asterisk to throw in there,
because tip balls typically only get intercepted about 3-4% of the time. So to have 3 intercepted is insane, especially when one of them, the guy went right through Kittle's back. It was a defensive pass interference. It was uncalled. And real quick, just say hi to Purd Dog 187 in the house. He says Purdy Dog a lot, so we should probably call him Purdy Dog. What's up, 187? Thanks for joining.
Because it's 187 on an undercover call.
And I'll get to the other comments below Don leaving there in just a minute. But let me ask you this, Ryan. I got a question for you on the Ayuk fluke, or it's also being called the immaculate deflection in reception, of course. But I like both of those names, by the way. You can tell I like them. But
I like them too.
Did you think it was DPI before all that happened? Like,
yeah,
yeah, me too. Because it's like people say,
"Oh well." To be fair,
DB has a right to his position because his head was turned and Ayuk was running into him. And like, okay, sure, but the DB like put his hands on Ayuk's shoulders. You could see him hugging him from behind, and then he pushed off.
It's not going for the ball.
He ended up in Ayuk's position to get the ball, and Ayuk wasn't there.
Not going
Ayuk
for the
was
ball.
playing DB.
Going for the ball. Now, having your hands on somebody beforehand, right? You can do that.
Yeah.
And then you can keep that same distance as you turn. But when you go, turn around, latch your hands on somebody in any sort of way, and So, and it's
then
not just
shove
me.
them.
JT O'Sullivan also said that was defensive pass interference. There was another guy I was just watching before I got on here. Like everybody I've watched and during the game also said that was defensive pass interference. So
That's what I thought at the time. And when I looked
Oh,
back
yeah.
through it, went frame by frame. I mean, I put it in my banner, like him winding up, cocking up to throw it, and then some of the key frames from the progression. And yeah, there's one where he's got both hands, or at least one hand, coming around the shoulder pad, and he's hugging him, and I'm like, that's DPI 100%. Especially then pushed off, got a separation.
I can't remember if they
the ball hit him in the face. That was the best.
I can't remember if they threw. I believe they even threw the flag on the field. If I'm not
They did.
mistaken.
They did throw the flag, and they picked it up.
Yeah,
and they picked it up
because it didn't matter at that point because it was a touch.
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't. It was, but yeah, it would have been the same spot anyway. Or I guess the spot was even better where I caught it than where the foul occurred. So maybe that's why they picked it up. But nonetheless, all right, good. I'm glad
because it would have been half the distance. It would have been half the distance to the goal if they would have done the penalty, and because it would have been at the spot of the ball. And obviously Brandon Ayuk went farther than that when he fell. So that was it was a better spot.
Yeah, I'm agreeing on that 100%.
Even though it's a longer penalty, it was so close to the end zone, it's half the distance to the goal, which wasn't as far as which is crazy when you think about it. Him just falling over was more than half the distance to the goal, essentially.
There you go. Let's get caught up a little on the comments here, and then I have another question for you, Ryan. Okay, so we're still on Terradome. Oh wait, all right, it was here. Kyle versus Spags, the X factor in the matchup. Who can out scheme who?
This is very true.
Yeah, but also Andy Reid against Wilkes.
At the same time,
I don't trust.
But
Wilkes,
also, you got to make sure Spags' players know exactly what wants them to do in those schemes 100% of the time, because Kyle's guys do. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you've got the right scheme and you call it up if your players aren't, able to execute because something on the offense confused them, which has been known to happen. You know what I mean? Like, so, and I'm not trying to say we got the upper hand here. I'm just saying I like our chances better.
There you go. This is kind of interesting. 49ers Jive saying on his Sims, it's coming up 50-50 so far on Madden. It's frustrating. Well, look at the point spread. It opened at a 1.5. It dropped to a point. Then it went back up to a 1.5 for us. We are favored last I knew. Let me just double check though.
We are favored
and make sure that that's still the case. But now we're up to 2. That's interesting. So maybe a little less than 50-50. Maybe more like 55-45. Interesting. But that's what I've been telling Chiefs content creators I've been reaching out to about collabing before the game. So I think it's pretty 50-50 between our two teams. So
I don't.
And Terradome says fair. I'm not sure if that's to this though, Terradome. So correct me if I'm posting that out of. I think that might have been from a few minutes ago. Jives likes the Ayuk fluke.
To me, the Chiefs remind me of like the Rams last year before they had all the troubles with the cap. All they really had was, some good players. They had one good player in each like room, kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But after that,
it
was, you know what I mean? And that's
definitely.
I'm not saying that's where the Chiefs are, but
you got Mahomes and Kelsey.
That's kind of where I feel they're
Stafford
at.
And Cup.
They'll probably be there next year.
I think fully. Pacheco.
You know what I mean? In that situation,
I think Pacheco is better than any Rams running back from their Super Bowl season. But then you got like Aaron Donald, Chris Jones, huge. That makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. Karlaftis could be like Floyd, I guess. They did have Von Miller though. That's the thing. So maybe the Rams had one more D lineman. than the Chiefs. And then Chiefs
Well, I don't think it's player
linebackers.
for player, but I'm talking about like the
I think the
amount
Chiefs
of good
secondary is
players.
better with
Oh yeah,
Snead and
yeah,
McDuffie.
yeah. I'm just saying like the amount of top tier talent they have, and then the amount of other that they have. I think that's kind of the same ratio almost. Almost. I think they got more than
There
the
you go.
Rams did last year. Don't get me wrong. I just feel that they're on the cusp, and I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, no. Furniture Drive says it was a ball don't lie flag pickup. Yeah, I mean it was like they flew it, they threw it in case Ayuk, because they didn't think Ayuk was going to catch it, because most people don't.
Yeah.
But, it's pretty freaking rare.
Well, also you're gonna throw that flag too. You throw the flag also as a marker of the spot.
They have beanbags for that too. But
So if I throw a flag,
maybe they'd already lost
well,
the beanbag.
that's to beanbag. Beanbags is more normally to spot like where the ball was like first touched.
Okay.
So like when the punt returner catches the ball, I drop my beanbag where he was. Because if we have to do anything, this and that, I got my beanbag there that registers where that was. So if I got a flag, I'm gonna keep my beanbag just in case like I throw the flag and then there's some sort of a fumble. I'm throwing my beanbag on my fumble.
There you go.
And then I've got my hat for my other flag. Or I can use, if I need to, I can use it as another beanbag. But that's on some penalties, like when they're on the offense, when it's like a false start, they just come straight out the pocket with it. They don't have to use it at a certain area. But you'll see some refs, when they see the penalty, they take it out and they chuck it right at where the area is, because they want that it's the ball. The foul is at the spot, or the penalty is at the spot of the foul. So you have to register the spot of the foul somehow. So you're not going to be like, oh, flag, and then beanbag, because it's going to take too much time. You got to get on your way. There's other stuff going on. This might not be the only penalty. You know what I'm saying? You got to catch it all. So that one might not even count. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. Kenny says that Duffy was PI called off. Very hard for a DB to catch that ball. James Renal says, I see the Cowboys have already started early this year. Jerry says I'm going all in next season. People haven't even replaced their TVs, and they already say it's our year. I should have had Alex Barber ask Jerry Jones about that today. He saw him today at the Senior Bowl. He got a picture. Alex Barber is a Steelers fan, but he's also a draft expert. And he's been on with me, and I saw a picture that he posted today with Jerry Jones. So somebody said I wouldn't even want to take a picture with Jerry Jones. I'm like, who are you kidding? Of course you want to take a picture with one of the most powerful owners in the NFL. Whatever you think of him, it's just a cool thing to be able to have a.
I wouldn't. No, fuck that. No, I'm good.
I think it's also different for 49ers fans and Steelers fans compared to the Cowboys.
No, so. This goes down to him standing in front of a school trying to let another little girl not go to school. Fuck that. I'm sorry. I'm just saying. I'm not down with that. I don't like him. I do not. His business acumen, I respect that as a person. This and that. I think he's a piece of shit.
Definitely not a good GM. I just hope he doesn't die anytime soon.
What was that question?
Go ahead.
I wanted to speak on something real quick. That question you had beforehand. Oh, the Cowboys started this. So what did Jerry not do this season that he's going to do this season? And why didn't he go all in last season when they thought they were on the cusp and able to do it? Why wouldn't you just go all in, Jerry?
Maybe because Trayvon
Diggs just saying you're going
to ACL, maybe.
Or is he? Well, how was that going to change? You could have still done stuff mid-season. You could have done stuff. But I mean,
like early. That's like if you're ready to do stuff mid-season and lose a key player, you're like, maybe we'll punt and wait till Trayvon's back next year. Even though you just never know with an ACL. I don't know. I'm making an excuse for him. Just something I thought of that might have been a reason why they might have held back a little bit.
Yeah, but
Maybe they
that
knew
doesn't
that
have
no
to do
matter
with
what
his
they did,
moves.
that we were just going to
He's
bounce
there.
them from the playoffs for a third season in a row. So they just dipped out
But
and lost to the Packers to avoid the humiliation.
what he's saying, it sounds like he's like, okay, this year I'm going to make an attempt, right? So were you not making an attempt this last year? Why not? Your team was so close. Once you get into the playoffs, it needs to be sold out mode because you can't keep a team together for that long. So I don't understand what it just doesn't make sense to me unless you're just trying to like talk them dumbass Cowboys fans back into buying your fucking merch.
There you go. No doubt. Pterodome says fair assessment, reference thanks. Yeah, I can see if I just came to fair assessment, we wouldn't even know what the hell you're talking about, Pterodome. See, it is, I'm so slow on the chat. It is helpful to explain and then Pterodome had a good one too. He said something about air, got to be a little luck and a lot healthy. Luckily, we seem to be a lot healthy other than Hufanga. So that's good news. James Renal says on the plus side, Spags can't run man coverage all game because Purdy will start running. Absolutely. And Kenny was saying it's being called the yeah, Kenny, you might not have been here when I first said it, but I said the Ayuk fluke or the immaculate deflection. Those are the two I've been seeing today.
And shout out to Purdy because he's proven to me that he knows when to go head first and when to slide because all this season he slid. He slid feet first for the most part that I can remember. And the moment he gets in the NFC Championship, we're getting as many yards as we can. We do all that, you know what I mean? I'm going to be smart with it. He got down early, but he went head first. You know what I mean? Appreciate it. Man knows what he's doing. Situational football, he's aware. That's something I really appreciate out of him. You know, he's not trying to take on D linemen as far as I know yet, which is not a smart thing. Or some safeties. Okay. You don't want to take on some of them safeties out there, bruh. Just saying. They know what they're doing. But going head first and getting down and out of way, smart stuff, getting extra yards. Appreciate that. Gives us more of a chance to win.
There you go. I was just about to start a poll because I feel like there's a little bit of dissension in the ranks about whether it should be the Ayuk fluke or the immaculate deflection. And so let's take it to the people and see what they say. That's what I like to do in these type of situations.
So it's got to be the fluke to Ayuk because Ayuk fluke makes it sound like he did something funny.
And it also is specific to Ayuk, right? So that's why I'm going to put Ayuk fluke first, which usually means that's the one I want people to pick. But we'll see. We'll see what people say. We're taking it to the streets, folks. Go vote. I just posted it on the Twitter X timeline just now as we speak. Got to limit Kelsey and make someone else beat us. That's easier said than done. Holy smokes. How many other teams have said that? But how many other teams had Dre and Fred in the middle?
Exactly.
And Lenore playing nickel. How many? Not many. None. But somebody was saying it's kind of interesting how opposite, things are from when we played in 2019. Like the Niners were all about D and run game. Especially we were the number 2 run defense and the number 2 defense overall in the NFL in 2019. We were the number 2 offense, but it was because we had the number 2 run game. It's kind of interesting. And now the Chiefs have a really outstanding defense and limited weapons. They still obviously have Mahomes. They still have a real good interior offensive line. However, Thuney, Joe Thuney, their all-pro left guard, was out for the Ravens game. And everything I'm hearing, he has like a torn pec. So chances of him playing the Super Bowl, I think, are pretty slim. Now they have Nick Allegretti.
Torn pec.
Yeah, they have Nick Allegretti, who's a real good backup. Apparently a buddy of Larry Kruger's from college. But anyway, which doesn't make any sense because anybody Larry knew in college would be way too old to be playing NFL football. But I don't know. Somehow he knew him. Because Larry's my age. He's 53. I think he's a little older than me, too. I think he's about to turn 54. Anyway, enough about Larry Krueger.
I wonder if Larry's got some stories. He got some stories, huh?
Probably. But yeah, so Jive, that's true. We got to limit Kelsey, but again, easier. Even with Fred and Dre and Lenore, and it's easier said than done for sure. It would be nice if we had
it's not just
old
Kelsey.
Jimmy Ward. Still, Jimmy was always great at neutralizing tight ends.
They got Kadarius Toney. They can get the ball passed around. They just really like going to Travis.
Yeah, Tony's done.
Travis,
he's done for the season. They have Hardman. They got Hardman back, but
Kadarius Toney's done.
He was ruled out for the season. Well, maybe he was just ruled out for the Ravens game, but I'm pretty sure they ruled him out for the season. Put him on season-ending IR. And he's like, "But I'm not that injured." He's like, and they're like, "No." It's like, addition by subtraction, getting rid of that cat. I mean, he's the one who killed him early in the season was it against the Lions? I think it was, where he had the one that hit him in the hands and ended up being an interception and the drop, and because the Lions beat him first game of the season. Right? Yeah. And that was also Chris Jones was out, and and their wide receivers hadn't, Rashee Rice hadn't come on yet, and so much different Chiefs team than what we saw rolling into M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore and beating the Ravens. A lot of us thought,
but still, they got other guys they can get the ball around to, and they can be stifled. We saw a game, half a game of it. The Baltimore Ravens played lights out in the second half on defense with them.
There you go. Terranome says
they just
Chris
couldn't
Jones
do anything with their offense to get anything done.
Is longer, a leader, a playmaker, uses leverage, shows in big games, more respect. Chris Jones, best in the league, NFL tackle. I have no problem with that statement. I feel like it used to be Aaron Donald, but I was saying, I think I even said like early this season that I thought Chris Jones was better. Maybe even it was in the off season that I thought Chris Jones was better. Yeah, maybe from last season.
He's a game wrecker.
Part of that was Aaron Donald was injured toward the end of last season, but still, I felt like Chris Jones had
just this last game. I think he was on a stunt. And I can't remember what play it was, but here he ends up and he's got his hands up in front of Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson's like, "Shit, what do I do now?"
Well,
I can't remember the play, but I was watching. I was like, "Oh, why is he right here?" And he's blowing up plays. He's a defensive tackle, and here he is on the edge, blowing up a play. And he shows up everywhere. He comes downhill. He's, our big long runs. You got to watch out for that guy coming back and making a beeline for where he thinks the runner's going to be at the end of the line, because he will hit them. I'm just saying, he's a game wrecker.
Chris Jones is
just like Mahomes,
and he's one of the few Chiefs left over from that Super Bowl in 2019. It's crazy how few there are. It's Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, it's Chris Jones, and it's Kelsey, and that's it. And maybe Butker. I forget if they're kicker. Or maybe punter. I don't even think either of them are either. I'm pretty sure it's like those four guys.
Wow, are
the only ones from that entire team. And even on our team, there's not a ton. It's less than 10. It's like Fred, Bosa, Debo, Armstead, Dre, Kittle, obviously.
Aziz would
Kittle,
be.
I will be back.
He's not with
we
us
will
anymore.
be back. No, Aziz isn't back. Our whole O-line's gone. All our running backs are gone. Ayuk wasn't here yet. Jennings wasn't here yet. Our whole secondary's turned over.
Debo was the only.
And our whole D-line has turned over except for Bosa and Armstead. So, yeah, I mean, Wishnowski. Debo. I said Debo.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's not like a huge list on our end either. I mean, it's huge compared to the Chiefs, but not compared to what you would think from just 4 years ago. But it just shows how, why these guys have to get their money, because things change rapidly. And speaking of that, like, here's a perfect example. Charles Menahue out with an ACL. It's always a bummer. I hate to see.
So sad to see that.
any injuries, especially an X9er. But it will help us. So I mean, there's that selfish side of me
I want to beat the full team.
No, I don't want any excuses. I hear you 100%. And speaking of injuries,
well,
maybe that's a good.
And
segue.
also, it's a better feeling. It's a better feeling when you beat them full.
Slay the
It's
dragon.
like, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Patton. I don't know if you
You
ever
gotta
saw
be
the movie
beat the
Patton.
best to be the best type of thing.
He goes up against Rommel, whoops him. Then he finds out later Rommel was back in Europe, and he gets all upset. And his manservant or whatever, every general used to have a dude who would like dress them back in the day. It was weird shit. Anyway, but he was like, hey, if you beat his plan, didn't you beat him? And it's not necessarily true, but it's when the guy that you're up against that you've trained for, they're not out there, it doesn't mean as much because you don't know if you're better than them. You know what I mean? You don't truly know whether you're better than them until you meet them in combat and you're the one standing at the end.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got to beat the best to be the best. I get that 100%. But there's a part of me that's just like, I just want the damn ring, And speaking of injuries, we should, I guess, thank our lucky stars that we didn't have more injuries during the game because, you may have noticed that I, referenced that in the title for the show here today. I said Lions took biting kneecaps to heart again. And the reason why I said again is because I actually complained about the Lions playing dirty long before the NFC Championship game. Actually, it was before the divisional round against the Bucks. It was actually against the Rams in the wild card weekend. And I noticed that they went for Puka's head to head. They went for Kyron Williams' head to head. They went for Stafford's head to head. And then they tore Higbee's ACL, Kirby Joseph, after he had torn Hawkinson's ACL in a very similar fashion just a few games before. Then even at the end of the game, when Puka, there was they held it. You could clearly held his jersey. It's defensive pass interference, uncalled. And as he's trying to get the ball, the guy who was holding him takes him to the ground, and the second guy comes in and goes for his head. And I'm like, geez, these guys are headhunting the Rams. And it's like, it's bad if I'm like defending the Rams, right? I mean, they're a division rival.
Yeah.
They're the last team I want to be going to bat for. But the Lions made me do it.
But we don't want to see football like that. That's not
dirty.
How we want to see a football game won.
Dirty.
You know what I mean? We want to see
injured.
You best another person the way you're supposed to, playing by the same rules.
Yeah, and lo and behold, there were 3 more examples against us. I could say maybe even a 4th, but there were 3 concrete ones that were so easy plain as day to see. The first one was CJ Gardner-Johnson, and this is in my banner for the show. CJ Gardner-Johnson cheap shotting Debo when he wasn't looking, and of course it was on the side of his bad shoulder. Don't forget that. His left shoulder, and then
I didn't find that out till later, or else I would have been a lot more pissed. I didn't think about that at all.
And then
Debo was like,
then not long after that,
a bitch ass hit.
There was a player who I highlighted in my preview article, James Houston, as a potential X factor for the Lions because he had 8 sacks in 7 games in 2022. And he was, playing opposite of Hutchinson. And that's one thing the Lions really need is a bookend, kind of like we still, I think, need a bookend across from Bosa. Obviously, real quick on that note, Chase Young did better in this game, but he still made some big mistakes with outside contain. We got burned a lot on that, but at least he had some nice plays. He had at least 3 or 4 plays. We're like, hey, Chase Young, hey, there he is. There's the guy that we traded for. Thank goodness. Anyway, so this guy that was basically unknown to us because he didn't play at all this season and he barely played in 2022, just 7 games. James Houston, he went helmet to helmet on Purdy. Not only helmet to helmet, but it was late. He was late coming in. Purdy's on the ground. It's a late hit, a helmet to helmet hit on the ground. No call. Dirty. And then one of the most egregious was much later in the game when Purdy had his big run downfield, his biggest run of the game, and he was sliding
To the
head
left
forward,
side of the field or right side of the field.
sliding head forward. A guy had touched him down too, so that he was like down by contact, sliding head forward. Here comes big old number 93, jumps on him when he's already down, like totally, late hit. And then if that's not bad enough, here comes Brian Branch, comes over and literally like kicks his kneecap with his cleat. Like he jumps up in the air and comes down with his foot on Purdy's kneecap. And luckily Purdy didn't, break his patella or tear his patellar tendon or, quad tendon. All those things are in play right in that area on the kneecap. And I'm sure he's probably sore from it, but at least there was no reported injury. And then the one that's not maybe quite so clear, and I don't know, I'd love to get people's opinion on this one. CMC towards the end of the game, he's running down the sideline, and this guy picks him up and dumps him on his head as he goes out of bounds. He didn't like slam him down, but I felt like he like lifted him up in a way and just dropped him at a perfect angle where he would land on his head if he didn't let go of the ball. And of course, CMC had a tight hold of the ball. So like, I don't feel like you have to slam him down to, to know that the guy's going to land on his head if you do it that way. I'd love to get people's opinion on that fourth one. The other three, you can F off if you argue me on the other three.
So as a wrestler, there's a little move that you used to do on big guys, and it's kind of like sliding home into second. You know how you put your feet forward and you slide into home essentially around their outside foot. You pick their outside foot up, you put it in your chest, and then you walk, right? And what'll happen is if somebody's really athletic, if somebody's not athletic, when you start walking with their foot fully extended in your leg, they're going to have to hop to move backwards because they can't walk backwards, right? So an unathletic person is going to take 1-2 hops and then they're going to fall down. They can't keep up for enough. Real athletic people will take 3 hops. And if you really want to hurt them, when they take that last hop, all you have to do is raise their leg up and it'll just torpedo them straight into the ground head first. So yes, there's definitely ways to, maneuver people's bodies, especially if you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? You've got,
without actually
throwing
suplexing
people
them
around like playing football or wrestling. Yeah, there's, especially when somebody's body is stiff, you know what I mean? And because then you can, every action's got a reaction, you know what I mean? And you're going to be in football, you're going to be stiff the whole time, essentially, as you're going, doing whatever. You're not like loosey goosey falling on the ground because then the play's over. So, yeah.
There you go. Dave McNiner in the house says, Ayuk catch reminds me of those Jordan Berg commercials from the 90s. I love it. Real quick, I wanted to, Kenny was saying Immaculate Conception because he's Catholic. Or it's not Immaculate Deflection, not Conception. I was reading the real one, not the actual football one. I wanted to correct this one real quick, Kenny. If we win the Super Bowl, we tie the Steelers and the Patriots at 6. We're at 5. The Cowboys are at 5. Pats and Steelers are at 6. So we would tie both of them, not go ahead. We would go ahead of the Cowboys, and we're already ahead of the Packers, who have 4. And then what else?
Let's not talk about that. Let's win the game.
There you go.
We'll iron all that out afterwards.
Now, do you say
MVS?
Kelsey or Kels for Jason and Travis?
They both say it differently.
So Travis says Kels and Jason says Kelsey?
No. Yes.
Interesting. Okay, then I think it's up to each person how they tell people how to pronounce their name. I mean, I don't know that in the same family, but whatever. I can respect that.
My last name, it's actually pronounced Bulil.
It's French.
And I guess at one point it was Yeah. Yeah. En
So
français.
fancy I am. Uh-huh.
Yep.
Are you speaking the French?
But
Yes.
nobody over the border wanted to deal with that. So they were like, Belial.
Belial.
we
You
don't
emphasize it.
do any of that.
It happens.
We ain't gonna be fancy like that. You know, but gonna be fancy. You're normal now.
My name in Germany was Hasselried, my family's name, not my name. And then when they went over to England, they changed it to Hazelrig with 2 G's. And then when it came to the across the pond, they dropped a G. So there's a little, yeah, it happens to a lot of people. When we get to Ellis Island, Ellis Island wasn't around back then, but a lot of people, when they get to Ellis Island, they changed the way their name was pronounced. Took the kind of the fun out of it and made it boring and vanilla. Jive says MVS. He's been big lately. He's fast, and his thing was he had a lot of drops, but lately for the Chiefs, he's come up with a few huge catches at the end of games, including the Ravens, including the Bills, I believe. Maybe the Well, it wouldn't be huge against the Dolphins because they were crushing the Dolphins. So I think it was just the Bills and Ravens. But hey, those are 2 pretty big games. They were talking about I don't know, Patrick Mahomes' stats through the playoffs, and I was like, well, take it with a grain of salt. The Dolphins have no D, and the Bills D was like heavily injured. Now the Ravens D, on the other hand, arguably the best in the NFL. But anybody can have a bad game, and in a 3-game stretch,
also,
one game
they only had
is only going to have so much weight.
They only had half of a bad game. They only had half a bad game.
That's true. The first half, right? Where they gave up the
Yeah.
2. That was such a crazy thing. We were at my son's birthday party on Sunday, and everybody's like, "I can't believe you're here, Ted. There's the game's on." I'm like, "Yeah, I know," but I managed to get it on my phone, and I was like, "Score, score, score!" And then like the whole rest of the game, it's like towards the end a field goal, and then at the very end a field goal. I was like, "What in the world?" It was such a strange way that. Well, I guess it's sort of like the defenses, woke up, and I guess there's a lot of shenanigans going on in the game too. So
one of the defenses woke up. The other defense, I believe, kind of just gave up a little bit. They couldn't hold out forever. I don't think. It's just, you know what I mean.
Kelsey and Mahomes,
defense,
they have that chemistry. They've been doing it.
Chief defense came up big in the first half, and that's probably the reason why they were able to win the game, is because they were able to stop Lamar early.
Yeah, and Zay Flowers fumbled the ball on the 1 and through the end zone. I mean that.
Oh, that was
was
crazy.
Good Lord. Well, and that was L'Jarius Sneed. I mean, let's be honest. It wasn't Zay Flowers. It was L'Jarius Sneed made a great play on the ball and just in the nick of time.
Yeah.
Jive's agreeing with me. He said Tony went crazy on IG. Said he wasn't hurt. Bro, we know you just can't catch. They're trying to be nice. That's what I was saying. It's just addition by subtraction.
Bro,
like, we know you're not hurt, bro. There. Just shut up and go away. Just shut up. Just don't go away mad. You're
hella
go
up there.
away. Yeah. So
you got a lot of comments. I might want to skip to them
down below. You want me to skip to the bottom and come back?
Never mind.
I think I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Let's
we got David Corona now.
KC again. I mean, I did pick Niners KC this year as my 2 Super Bowl teams, but I had KC.
Let's see what after the dust settles of the Super Bowl attrition. Everybody leaving and getting paychecks because who knows?
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, this one team is going to get decimated with the Super Bowl hangover. We've seen it too many times.
Well,
I mean, it happens to both teams, but it really happens to the team that loses. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Watch the Raider game from Christmas Day on repeat. There you go. Yeah, that was a good one. Purdy's first comeback from 10 down. That was a good one. But although Raiders defense was like cheeks, they're like 32nd in the league. But speaking of the Raiders, like how bummed are they that like they're 2 of their most hated teams are going to have their end zones in their house are painted after Chiefs and 49ers. And one of them is going to get a ring. They can't both not get a ring. So,
Right? It
Raider
can't end in
fans
a
are
tie.
dying over that. So good.
Really? They're been out of shape about it.
They hate the Niners. Yeah, because they're always the little brother. They're always the stepchild in the Bay Area. The Niners got all the glory, more Super Bowls. Joe and Jerry. And the Raiders. They had Marcus Allen, but no, yeah, the Niners, the Raiders were always second class citizens in the Bay. That's why they left. That's why they left.
I wouldn't say they're.
They left twice. What do you mean they left? They left to
brothers.
LA, and then they're like, "This sucks." They came back to Oakland. Then they went to Vegas. I mean, they left us twice. Not us, but their fans here in the Bay Area. It's a bummer for Raiders. I do feel a little bad for Raiders fans, even though they're. You know what? You know how you tell the difference between a Raiders fan and a Niners fan, Ryan? I may have
the ankle monitor.
Niners fans like the outside of jail cells. But we need a silly fun guy here to save me with a dad joke. David Cronin says, "What up, everyone?" 49ers.
I tried to tell a joke earlier, but you talked through it.
Ah, geez.
Tried to
lay it on me. Let's have it.
I'm not gonna do it now because it's so far back that it's not funny. You gotta give some moments to breathe, bruh. The wing stop.
CMC slid on his head twice in that game, one pretty early on and one at the end of the game where he checked himself out. Interesting. I didn't catch the first one. Cowboys.
He said he checked himself out because he wanted to make sure that he could grip the ball, which I appreciate the hell out of that. Like, hey, my arm, I just want to make sure, I'm not a liability at this moment because I'm probably going to get this ball in short down yardage. So let's just let somebody else have it. That's now me, I would be like, I'm good. I'm good. I can handle it because I got that ego. Not Christian McCaffrey.
There you go. 49ers guys said they say old man Kelsey doesn't care, so they don't either. So you can go Kelsey or Kels. Take your pick. Personal preference. I've always called him Kelsey, so I'm going to stick with it. This is the ladybug catch by Ayuk. That's another name. I guess I should have put that in the poll too. Did you see Rita Oaks' art?
No.
Oh,
I didn't.
She did.
Dude,
check out Rita.
She's such a blessing. She's such a blessing to the community. Shout out to Rita.
Yeah. I said she gently crushed this one because, you have to be gentle with the lady.
Butterfly.
It was really good. It was good. It was really good. And they also showed in the post-game, festivities that the Gold Rush saw a ladybug on one of the handrails that they were sitting in front of, and they got it on camera. So it's pervasive. Pronounce his name Carrie then. Ha 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 ha. Oh, pronounce my name Carrie then. Ha ha ha. If you like Carrie, sure, I'll call you that. But I kind of like Kenny, except for the South Park.
Ayuk needs a Purdy MVP vest with ladybugs on it instead of those flowers like Depot got. Like ladybugs.
I like it. 49ers got to get it together, protect the ball, no penalties, control line of scrimmage, stop the run. That's gold liner. Kansas City Chiefs are praying for the Super Bowl. We got to be prepared more, try to stop this guy and try to win the game.
Not just that, but remember, they get these soft calls. They get these things that normally wouldn't be thrown because Patrick Mahomes is there. You know what I mean? So we have to make sure we're up by 2 scores or more with time left, because we don't want a pass interference call on a clean play because Patrick Mahomes is throwing himself on the ground and kicking and screaming. Feel me? Well, I know it's a little. It's just how I'm putting it out there, but it's not far from reality. Not far, but it's far.
It was a low-scoring game, I think Baltimore should have won that game. You know, I predicted 17-14, but I did predict Baltimore would win, not
They
Kansas City.
couldn't pull their head out of their asses early enough.
Yeah. How can we stop Kansas City and Mahomes? Maybe it's simple. We got to say maybe not. No, I mean, you got to just score a lot. You're not going to stop him. You can only hope to contain him.
No, we can stifle their offense. It's been done. We saw it in the last game. It's just, how do you do that? You have to recreate it. You have to. You know what I noticed? The people were complaining about getting pressure on Patrick Mahomes in that game with their defensive line, right? But when you get pressure on Patrick Mahomes, he gets out and he starts making them big ass plays. So the best thing to do is just like we did against Jalen Hurts and just constrict the pocket slowly and force him to throw into our coverage. If we constrict the pocket with 4 guys, that means we can drop back 7, and they can only have a maximum, or essentially, of 5 guys out there. So it's 7 on 5.
Trick is you got to stop Isaiah Pacheco too, though. So you got to have enough guys in the box to do that because he's a solid running back for sure.
But that's a pre-snap thing. I'm talking about
I see what you're saying.
After the snap, when you know it's a pass play. Yeah.
Got it. Jive was saying, no, the Raiders-Chiefs game from Christmas when the Raiders only threw 8 passes. Well, the Chiefs have the 28th ranked run defense in the NFL. So hopefully we will run a lot in this game. It should favor us to do that. I don't think it'll be 8. That reminds me of the NFC Championship game against the Packers in 2019 when Mostert ran for 220 and 4 TDs.
That's special. That's a special guy with a special offense, kind of, because a lot of those times they were running with McGlinchey as the lead blocker there out in space because he was so quick and he was great at that. And you had Raheem Mostert, who you can't run the same offense without that person. No, which is amazing that he was let go so many times around this and that, and then the best offense that could just outrun a team over and over again, throughout the playoffs. And that's the guy people cut. You know what I mean? Wouldn't give a chance. I heard a story about this today about how he got his chance. He pretty much said oh, hey, you happy with everything? And he's like, no, I wish I could get some more reps. And he's like, what? He says, I don't get any reps, bro. How am I supposed to get better if I don't get any reps? He's like, oh, I thought you were happy just in that. Oh, okay, because you're always smiling. Okay. And then Kyle got him more reps. And then you see what happened. He's in the game. He's running for all them yards. Kyle just, okay, you want more reps? I'm going to get you some more reps. You got him more reps.
There you go. Beautiful thing. Rick was saying that Chase Young and Bosa have to step up. I will say I've been maligning our defensive line the last couple of weeks, saying that they're overpaid and overrated. But I feel like our buddy Nick Bosa definitely stepped up. He was the highest graded defender from the AFC and NFC championship games with an 80.2 rating. He had a couple sacks, huge sacks, pushing the Lions out of field goal range, and just where he manhandled one of the tackles. And I thought those tackles had a really good, that they're some of the best in the game with Decker and Penei Sewell. So hats off to Bosa. Hopefully he's back. I tweeted that Bosa's back, baby, and I hope it holds true for the Super Bowl. We're going to need him. Absolutely.
So I feel it doesn't matter. What do you mean by step it up? They got to get more sacks or this or that. I think what they need to do is play to what the scheme is. Play what the scheme is. You need to, first and foremost, we need to stop the run. So sell out on the run. And I'm guessing this scheme up front, as far as pass rushing, is going to be contain, squeeze the pocket, keep them in the pocket. And if that's the case, then I don't care about any sacks or any pressures. I just want him not getting out because that's the goal. And if that's the goal, that means the other stuff on the back end need to hold up their bargain. Because if the D line's not going to rush and try to, wrap him up and get him on the ground, they need to be getting those interceptions. They need to be getting those pass breakups. They need to be getting us out on 3rd and long or 3rd downs at all in general. So I'm kind of more worried about is the secondary, because I think the defensive line is going to come to play. They haven't gotten as many sacks as we would expect them to get. But guess what? Offenses aren't able to do things on 3rd down in the crucial moments. That's all that matters really at the moment. Is if we can stop them and come up with the wins. This is the best game of the year with the toughest team. It's, you know what I mean? This is for number 1 and number 2. No, you're not going to have an all-star game, or you can't depend on somebody having an all-star game, right? It's not like you're going to get a 2-sack game out of everybody, that you expect. What we need to do is be consistent, play by play, and stop that run to make them have to pass. And the Baltimore Ravens stopped Pachenko. They stopped him in the second half. He was frustrated as all hell. He was getting pissed off.
There you go.
You could see when he was getting up from the tackles.
The Ravens D is as legit as you know what, though. So,
and so are
KC was Brock Purdy's first NFL game. I mean, I don't know if I'd call it a game, but it was his first NFL action. He came in late in the game when it was out of reach after Jimmy had kind of blown it. And he actually threw an interception. His first interception as a pro was against the Chiefs in that game. But he did pretty well, as I recall, other than the interception, especially, for his first ever game. For me, his first game really is the Dolphins, but even that's not technically a start because Jimmy played the first drive and got injured at the end of the first drive of that game.
His first game doesn't mean shit to me. The first, we've seen so much since then that can just get cut off as a nothing.
Well, and people are trying to say, oh, the Chiefs own the Niners. They beat them 3 times in a row with Mahomes. And I'm like, well, Mahomes is 0 for 0 with Purdy starting. And in that last game in 2022, it was like not only a different team, but it was a heavily wounded team. Like Armstead didn't play. Jimmy Ward played his first game of the 2022 season was against the Chiefs, and he had a club on his hand, so he was playing one-handed. Bosa and Mooney Ward both had pulled groins. McGlinchey had a strained calf. I think there were some other injuries on offense too. And the big one was Dre Greenlaw went down early in the second quarter. So, no Armstead, one-handed Jimmy Ward, no Dre for the second half and a good chunk of the first half too, but the entire second half. And then, and CMC, that was his first game as a 49er too, but he had only gotten 1.5 practices that week. And so even though he got more run than any other running back we had in that game, he got barely any in the second half because we ran out of plays that he knew. And so, plus, Jimmy Garoppolo was our quarterback, and he threw a boneheaded interception right before the half where we could have gone in with the lead, and we ended up down by, a bunch going into the half. So, to try and draw inferences from that game, any of you Chiefs fans that may be watching, I got some news for you. This is a different 49er team. I will say that our defense ended up getting better last year towards the end of the year than it has been most of this year. But other than that, Purdy is way better than Jimmy G. He was at least a little better last year, and this year he's way better than Jimmy G. It's just not even
way
close.
better.
Way better.
11
the
games.
Deep throws, his deep runs. He didn't have those last year like he did this year. And so
11 games plus 30 points. That's
Number one
crazy.
offense, DVOA. Yeah. No doubt about it. Well, we're coming up on the witching hour here.
We are.
Should we talk a little bit about what we got going on the rest of the week? Do a little self promotion.
Sure. Give me 1 second.
All right, I'll
Go
jump
ahead.
in.
You go first.
I have tomorrow. Obviously, I've got Aaron, First and Ted, at 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern. But before that, and I'm fumbling on the time. I think it's at 1 p.m. Yeah, it is 1 p.m. tomorrow. Let me just restore my window. I have actually, it's a Lions creator who I had on last week who graciously agreed to come on again. It's part of my pitch when I'm like, reaching out to people for the first time. Like, hey, you want to come behind enemy lines with me? I'm like, yeah, I've done a ton. And most people have either come back on or would, like, as in, like, I'm not like a dickhead who's going to make you wish you never came on. Yeah, Right or Wrong is his name, and he'll be on at 1 tomorrow. And he is actually kind of famous. He was Lions fan of the year in
Wow.
2022, and he actually made the Amon-Ra St. Brown announcement, at the draft.
Oh,
Which is pretty
that's
cool.
That's
So
got to be something.
he's a lot more famous than me. I mean, that's for sure, for damn sure. And it was kind of funny. I tell everybody when I have them on, I'm like, hey, if you want to come back on after the game, you're welcome. But like, let's lock it down before the game, because if we lose, like, I might not be so interested in having you back on. And we didn't lock it down before the game, and he just said, hey, hey, do you want to have me back on? I said, absolutely. So those are my two tomorrow. And then Thursday, I've got another Chiefs creator at noon, Lexi, who was recommended me by a couple different sources. Apparently she's nails. She's part of, there's like Kingdom Queens is the name of their podcast. There's a bunch of gals that get together, and they're called, Chiefs Kingdom Queens. She's part of that, maybe the leader of that. And then my usual Mike from the Man Cave doing Faithful Dogs. So Lexi's at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. Mike, as usual, 1 at 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern. And then obviously Bash at 3 on Friday at 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. And then probably adding more Chiefs creators this week and next week. 49er minded. Bash.
49er minded.
I love it. That's good. It sounds almost like it's so good. How about you, Ryan?
Yeah.
What you got coming up?
I got Bring the Heat tonight here in about 1 hour. Come check me out over on 49er Faithfully Pod channel.
Awesome.
That's Mariah and TL's channel. So go check me out there. 6 o'clock. It'll be me and Bashar, 49er minded. And we will be talking about the game. Probably a little bit of that cowardly ass lion, CJGGA. I don't know. I made a tweet. If you thought that guy was a punk, I made a tweet or a meme, and you can go check it out on my Twitter. Maybe I should pin it so everybody can find it real easy, and then go share that. And make him feel like an idiot, because what a bitch ass move. Sorry.
No doubt. Got another option from the poll. Somebody said the ladybug bounce. That's kind of a good one too, instead of the Ayuk fluke or the immaculate deflection.
Blitzkrieg Bop.
Someone said the catch 5.
Let's go.
But doesn't like to be one of the catches. It's got to be a TD, right? I mean, I feel like,
I was asking about that, and yes,
yeah.
it has to be a TD, I would think. And someone else also said the game-winning TD. So I think that is the criteria for a catch, or the catch.
Oh, interesting. And then I'd posted up this shot from before the game of the predictions of the Fox crew. Howie, Gronk, and Jimmy all took the Niners. Michael Strand took the Lions. And so since Michael was on stage, I quote tweeted, it said, "So tell us how you really felt, Michael." And I put the picture up. And then Brett said, "Didn't he pick the Packers as well?" I'm like, "I don't know." And then somebody said he did. Hope he picks KC. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Hope so.
How are you going to let the guy who keeps picking wrong get to hand? Why don't you let one of the guys that believed in the team to hand off the trophy? That seems a little more,
seriously. Well, Strahan's pretty smooth, though. I mean, you're good when you make the transition from like football to like Good Morning America, like just to like straight, regular media. That's pretty huge to be able to make that leap. I don't think
Emmanuel Acho is trying to do the same thing.
Maybe he can't. I hated him for the longest time, but now that he likes Purdy, it's really hard to hate him. It sucks. I guess call me biased. But
so when DK
but I also think his takes are good with Purdy. It's not just go ahead.
When DK Metcalf has more tackles in the NFL than you, and you play defense, I'm sorry, bro. Like, you need to be reminded of that. And when you're doing all these big head talking points, you need to remember that. Not to say that somebody can't, because there's great ladies in the sport who talk about never played football other than, like flag football and whatnot, or, but never anything, professional, this and that. They could still have an opinion. But for him, I'm like, bro, you had the chance, you got there, still couldn't. Like, why are you talking about this stuff? But I guess that's why backup quarterbacks make great or coaches and offensive coordinators and analysts.
Nice. Yeah. No, it's interesting. Sometimes, especially with quarterbacks, I've noticed that some of the not so good quarterbacks end up being good coaches and analysts because they hold the clipboard for the coach. And so they actually get the inside view of what's going on more than sometimes the guys that are in the huddle in a certain way. Cool. Well, anything else that we should cover while we're here, or should we call it a day, my friend?
I think we're good. Our audience. It's 5:03. Might as well.
Yes. Thanks for everybody who showed up. Yeah, I definitely got to get going tonight because we had my son's friend birthday on Sunday morning that overlapped with the AFC Championship game. And then we got his family party tonight, a pizza party here at the house. So I'm sure there's things that I need to do to get things ready.
What kind of pizza?
For the onslaught. It's going to be the same pizza as from his party. It's just called New York Pizza. It's in Redwood City. And we got people were reaching out to us after the party, like, "Where's that pizza from?" Like this gal, one of Ford's schoolmates' moms, tracked me down when I was picking him up from school the other day, and she's like, "My husband is a pizza snob, and he loved that pizza. Where's it from?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'll find out." So, New York Pizza in Redwood City. It's thin crust. It was pretty good. I don't know if it's that good, honestly. I mean, my favorite's still Amici's combo with slow roasted garlic, but it might be more reasonable. Amici's is expensive, man. You get like a pizza and a salad and a little one for the little guy because he only likes olives on his. It's like $100. It's a lot for a pizza and a salad and a little guy pizza.
I used to go to a place where I get a personal pizza and a frickin' salad that could barely be contained on a big plate. And it was like, nice. It was $11.25. At one point it got to like $13. But Cristianos, they also closed between like noon and 3. They were like, "Screw you. We don't want your money. We're taking a break. We don't care. We're cleaning the kitchen, doing our own thing." And then we open back up. And you know what I mean? They did not care. They had business out the door. They never got a bigger spot. They liked exactly where they didn't give a damn. The waitresses got hella money.
You get the big spot, and then the people don't show up, and then you get your hosed. It's like you might as well just stick with what you know. And
it was
if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. We're out.
Broke anyway. All right, I broke the gate sensor on our gate, and just had the guy out today, so I'm just bracing myself for when the bill comes. I've saved up for this bike, and all of a sudden it's like probably going to go to the gate
Oh no.
instead of a bike to ride with my son. Yeah, so may have to start saving again. We'll see. All right. Well, thank you, Ryan, as always. Always
You're welcome.
fun. Thank you to our audience, and I'll just
See
say,
us here next week.
yep, peace and go Niners. In the Super Bowl.